Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. We're going to dive into Welcome to Jaelara and my ever evolving market tracker that I'm trying to build here for all the Genesis fans and collectors alike. First, I'd just like to remind everyone on November 20th, which is 3 weeks away, the Battle of Champions Championship. It will be happening here in Toronto. Should be a good time. You can sign up, I think, play for free, or you can sign up as a VIP and get some free meals here and promo cards. So it should be pretty cool. And I think they'll be celebrating the Genesis anniversary as well. So, anyways, let's dive into what I wanted to go over today. So, the last two videos, I showed you some of the rarities of all the sets, as well as a template for raise. I'm actually trying to expand it and make this template a little bit bigger, better, easier to manage. And so I wanted to kind of just go through with everybody today what I'm planning on doing and get some feedback and some ideas of what else people would like to see. So I'm going to actually start on the overview here. So what I'm hoping to do is kind of, showcase obviously when the sets were released, when this update is from, as well as give you guys some information that's probably pretty relevant to the pricing that we're going to go through. So obviously we've got here the print run. For Welcome to Jaelara, we know there were 665 boxes produced, 24 boosters in a box, gives you 15,960. Each booster pack had two different compositions. You either got 1 in 8 packs had an epic, and when that epic rare was there, it actually took the place of a common. So you'll see here the difference in these 2-pack compositions is an epic rare versus a common. And then you've got the set composition, so how many epic rares are actually in the set, how many rares, uncommon, so forth. And then what I've done is extrapolated out how many of each card I believe would have been printed based on these numbers, all things being equal for each card in each rarity. So we have about 55 epic rares, which is extremely low print. And then when you look at the starter and the tip cards, I'm waiting for a little bit more clarification from Sid, just because I don't think that those are high value cards. It's not going to really matter too much yet, but in the long run, it probably will. So some of the other things I've kind of done here is some of this data on the complete set value, the average price, and the expected value of a box. This is data that you're going to see on some of these other tabs we're going to go through. And so some of the other things I'm hoping to really show is, as people tell me, hey, I've opened 20 boxes, or I know I have 5 because they're all sealed. I'd like to collect that information for people if possible, because when we're only dealing with 665 boxes, if we know that there's a store that's opened 100 of those, we know how many we can kind of figure out there if people start giving me that information. So feel free to add that in the comments or send me direct messages if you'd like. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through these backwards from the rarities, because I know everybody wants to see the good stuff first. But real quick, one of the things I've done is I've actually hyperlinked these right to the Genesis website, so I can pull up the picture of the card if I wanted to. So I'm just going to do that as an example here. So it'll take us right to Idris. And so this is useful for me when I want to show you guys content in the videos, but it'll also be useful for you guys if I eventually make this available to the public. So I've got in here approximate number of copies. Again, this tab, I wouldn't use this as a gauge just because there's a lot more starter cards and some other tip cards that I'm missing on here. But essentially, you've got 4 of each champion. And so you've got a value there, and I noticed that some of the full art ones have been going for a little bit more. So as we start to add more data, I'll be able to get, whether the values have been going up or down and that sort of thing. Move into the commons, and some of the prices you're going to see in green are prices that I've actually grabbed just recently off some online commerce websites of what they're selling them for. Sites that I trust, like Dragon World. So, take it for what it's worth, but essentially these values are all going to feed into the complete set tab here, which is going to have a tracker, which would hopefully eventually allow you guys to track your own collections. So we've got the commons here. Nothing huge to note. Shadow Claw is $1, which is pretty good for a common. The rest of these are, 10 to 25 cents for the most part. You can buy them for, and then some of them are a little bit more expensive. When we get into the uncommons, you'll start to see some of them, Subjugation Strike, Epiphany, are a little bit higher just because they're well-played cards. Some of the other content I'm hoping to add in the future is just whether these cards have been reprinted or not. Obviously, for Welcome to Jaelara, second edition, everything is a reprint, but for some of these, I'm going to have to go through that still. I did add the artist, the chi value, and the affiliations just for people who are trying to build decks if you want to have quick ways to filter and that sort of thing. When we get into the rares, you'll start to see again more green. These are ones I was seeing recent purchase prices or listings right now. The ones in white here, I've kind of taken the liberty of putting them a little bit higher than some of these other price points. The Ajna Tiger, just because I know that Bolt Shot is a very heavily played card and a really sought after one, as well as Chrono Walker and Kabus. And these cards are not for sale really online because people are keeping them and want to play them, but I have a feeling you're going to pay that or more to get those from the Welcome to Jaelara set. When we get into the Epic here, I've actually added the booster pack and the booster box values. And again, these are values that I got from Dragon World, so take it with a grain of salt. If you can find boxes for less, go for it. I think in the long run, the low print run, these are going to be well worth it. But again, you got in the green, you've got some stuff that's up for sale currently. Ones in white, most of those aren't for sale. Nobody's getting rid of them. There's 55 copies of an extended art Bolt Shot from Welcome to Jaelara. I put a $20 number there. Honestly, I think that these are going to start going up pretty fast and pretty furious once more people start playing this game. So the main thing I really want to call out is this rarity here. I mean, we looked at Rays, and there's about 78 other epics. Welcome to Jaelara has about 55, and that's because there's a lot more epics in the set, and so there's less of each one produced. And so, again, if you find these things, they're really cool. They look awesome. Unfortunately, at some point in time, they were not allowed to be used in play just because they don't have any of the description. It's not really good for new players to use, so a lot of them would switch to the rare versions. And you know what? Once people start to know and memorize these cards, they're going to be really sought after to be played. They're also great display pieces, I think. So the data I have is kind of feeding back into this complete set collection tracker here. So this is the entire set in numerical order with all the epics first, and then it goes in numerical order. And this pricing is feeding from the other tabs. And so what I tried to do here is just put an example of a quantity and then what that value would be. So if you wanted to collect Welcome to Jaelara and you wanted to see how much your value would be, having one of each of these items here with the booster box and everything is a $986 value. When I go to this overview tab, a lot of the data feeds back into here too to get the average prices of the epic rares, the uncommons, commons, and starter cards. With this, we're able to actually determine what the expected value would be. There's 3 epics in a box, there's 24 rares in a box, 72 uncommons, blah, blah, blah. And so you get a total here. And then if you were just to do epics, rares, and uncommons, you'd have a total there. And if you just wanted to count the value of the epics and the rares, you'd have about $150. And so, with the booster box sitting at $350, this doesn't seem to really add up. But I think what you'll start to see as time goes on and the maturity of the market happens, people will decide whether it's better or not to be opening what boosters and boxes they might have of this set. Again, I do want to highlight this extremely low print run. 665 boxes is insane. if this game starts to grow pretty fast. I mean, there's probably more than 665 people in the world who play the game. So, that would be an average of one box a person, which I doubt that's the case. There's a lot of people who've probably never gotten any packs or boxes of the set. So that's really what I wanted to kind of go over today. I'm looking for feedback from people. Um, my intent is to try to update this stuff at least. If I can, I'm going to try to do it like once a month, once every other month, depending on how the market's going and where I can find information. But I'd really like to, do something similar to what Lily's doing with Kitchen Table and Flesh and Blood with Genesis, because I think that there's an incredible opportunity here for a secondary market to exist, as well as the competitive market heats up. So, feel free to hit subscribe if you like this and you want to keep seeing content like this, and feel free to send me comments. Always happy to hear from people. Thanks a lot.